Crazy thing about all of this is before COVID, before 2020, life, people, everything wasn't as weird as it is in the present moment. Like life felt like life. It felt like a happening of a sort, to whereas now it feels like a crumbling of all that was and an unknown anticipation for what is to come. People before COVID, you could go out and about and it seemed like there wasn't that much fear amongst people, honestly. It seemed like there was like an understanding amongst people for the most part. Like, no one's gonna assault you just because or harass you unless that's like a genuine crazy person and things of that sort. But like, it seems like today, like, tensions are high, anxiety is high, people just seem different after COVID. And the thing is like there is levels to spiritual awakening, yo. You gotta realize this. Just because you have a spiritual awakening where you start to like see through the illusions and lift the veil and all these things, there's rites of passage, there's like sanctifications, there's like refinement periods, there's trial and tribulation periods. There's extensive things that come with spiritual awakening. It's not like you just wake up and it's like, oh, yeah. It's like, nah, like, think of the military. Everything is as above, so below, right? So, like, you know how the military got ranked? Their spiritual rank, too. If you just caught a spiritual awakening, you could best believe that you probably a fuzzy E1, E2, E3. You understand me? Like, you could bet that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you could really bet that. Which is fine, you know. But the whole thing is about doing the inner work to hit those level ups, doing the inner work to get promoted so that you could get a new rank on your chest when you walk around. You understand what I'm saying? I've noticed though, ever since COVID, ever since after 2020, man, life and the interaction with life has been so much different, but everything happens for a reason. You see, I look at that kind of like the Garden of Eden in a way. Let me explain. You know how in the garden they were like, no, I don't want to say naive, but they weren't worried about the fact that they were naked. None of that. They didn't really care. They weren't, that wasn't their focal point. The moment that they ate from the tree and you would say went against their nature, which made it sin, because that's what sin is. Sin is going against your divine nature, your true nature, your organic nature, what God created you. And they had dominion over the garden. But because they had dominion, they didn't necessarily need to eat of that. You see what I'm saying? Because they already had dominion over everything. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what made it sin. But like in the same way, I feel like COVID was like the tree of knowledge. You see what I'm saying? The tree of good and evil. Like, and when people were forced to stay in due to quarantines and all these things and lockdowns, it forced everyone's attention, perspective, the focal point, energy, everything that was getting poured into this world from a lower state of mind, a lower consciousness, a lower frequency and vibration, because all these truths weren't aired out like this. it was feeding the world that. You understand me? So imagine like majority of the world out of lower vibration, and before that we didn't know none of this info that's coming out right now or that's being exposed and revealed. That would be that wouldn't be good for Earth. You see, because Earth is living too, so that wouldn't be good. So it's almost like these things happen though for us. It's like we had to eat that, like that had to happen to change the focal point, to change the narrative, to change the narrative of who you are, what all this is. You understand? Because before, everything was textbook. And when I say textbook, it was their textbooks. You see? You understand me? It was their textbooks. It was what they were telling us things are. Lo and behold, we come to find out that half the things they were telling us is falsified. You know what I mean? More than half. But you get what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? So I look at COVID as like something that had us, because people did have spiritual awakenings, but it had you be more conscious of you, all the things that you've done that are foolish, you know what I mean? And then you come into connection with your higher self, and then you're trying to integrate all these things and do all this inner work. You understand me? To where it makes it a little bit more challenging than it did before when you were less conscious of good and evil. You see that tree of all these things when you caught that spiritual awakening. Now all these things are at the forefront, but it had to happen because the energy that the masses was contributing to the earth was low grade, low vibrational, contracted energy. You understand me? And we were feeding that back into the earth with our decisions, with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our energy, with what we did with our actions. You understand what I'm saying? Now through this awakening, you see a lot more mindfulness and awareness too. Care for nature, care for the earth, mindfulness and awareness to yourself, how people take care of themselves. You see what I'm saying? All these things are interconnected. All these things play a part together. All these things are happening simultaneously with each other. That had to happen to usher us in to a golden age, out with the old and with the new. You understand me? But the new is just the original. You know when they say that history just repeats itself? That new is just the original. You see what I'm saying? What we was in, that was the fall. You see? Now we in the rise. You understand me? These things had to happen. I'm glad they did. All things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. You understand me? Stay strong.